Hello, buddy. Welcome back to the Tin Man's Core channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. Today, I'm reacting to my third and final scary storyteller video for you guys. And this one's titled Three True Food Delivery Horror Stories of Rain Sounds. And it's coming from the Night Time Spooks channel. So without further ado, I'm going to turn these lights off, move the camera up here for you guys. And let's get this reaction on the road and in the bag, shall we? Alrighty, here we go.
I am a driver for DoorDash. This happened just a couple of months ago.
Okay.
It was a Thursday night and I was working late. I typically worked until 2 a.m. on Thursdays, and it would be a pretty good money-making night for me.
Oh, wow.
It was late and I was almost done, but at about 1:30 in the morning, I got an order to pick up. It was at McDonald's and it was just a medium drink. It seemed a little weird to me that somebody would have just a drink from McDonald's delivered, but I wasn't going to question it.
I mean, I would be questioning it because why would somebody just wants to order a drink and have somebody from DoorDash pick it up? That's ridiculous. DoorDash people are there to pick up your food orders as well as drinks, not just the drink by itself. So I'll be getting red flags at this point. I mean, the person could just drive or walk over to McDonald's just to get a drink. Unbelievable. But let's continue, shall we?
I went to McDonald's and picked it up. Then I drove to the destination. It wasn't that far, between 5 and 10 minutes away. But when I got into the neighborhood, I could see that it wasn't the best area. The houses looked very run down and old, and the grass in most yards was very long. I turned onto a dead-end road and finally reached the address. It was at the end of the dead end, and I could barely see the house because of how dark it was, combined with how many trees they had in the yard. There was a woods surrounding the house, and no street lights or house lights.
Automatically, I'll be like, okay, feel like I'm getting set up for a trap here because you just picked up only a drink from McDonald's and then you're going to this sketchy neighborhood in a certain area don't even have no street lights and the house looks like it's got overgrown grass and don't look in livable condition. Something's up. But I don't want to jump ahead with any conclusions of my own just yet. So let's just see what happens next.
I slowly stopped my car and got out. I looked around. It was very quiet. I walked to the end of the driveway of the house and looked down it. It was skinny, but fairly long. It had pine needles and sticks all over it, and looked like it didn't get much use. I looked down and saw the house, and then I began walking. I got about 10 feet down the driveway, and then I heard the branches in a tree next to me start to move. Immediately when I heard the sound, I knew it couldn't have been an animal and had to be a human. Without even thinking, I placed the drink on the ground, turned around, and ran back to my car. As I was running, I heard movement behind me, but I didn't stop to look. I ran all the way back to my car and got inside. When I did, I immediately started my engine, and the lights to my car came on. Out of my windshield, I saw in front of my car about 30 feet away, there were 3 men. They were not chasing me anymore, but they were just standing at the end of the driveway looking at me.
Yep, what did I tell you? It was a trap all along. 3 guys just ordered a drink just so they can have a DoorDash person come by and they probably rob them. But since you heard them breaking sticks, you did the right thing and just dropped the drink off and run back to your car. Because if you didn't, they would have pounced onto you and knocked you down to the ground, and you never know what they might have done next, or probably never been seen again.
And one of them turned and threw the McDonald's drink at my car. It hit the ground about 5 feet in front of my vehicle. I backed up my car and drove away. I hope I don't have to deliver to that neighborhood again.
You and me both, because that's one sketchy area, it sounds like. I cannot believe they took the cup and threw it at his car. Now you get a lot of sticky residue from the drink on the car, but I get it. They were mad, but you shouldn't have scared the crap out of him because they probably thought it was an easy snatch and go type situation. But nope, they didn't expect on him fleeing. But I'm just glad that he got out of there safe and sound and did not get beat up by these dudes and got out of there back to the safety of his house. So let's get on to story number 2, shall we?
A couple of years back, I worked as a Postmates delivery driver on the weekends. I lived in a city at the time, so I could ride my bike to make the deliveries.
Okay.
I liked it because I could get more exercise. One night, on a nice Friday night in the summer, I was working for a few hours. I remember it was sunny and warm. At about 8 p.m., I got a delivery for an order of a sub restaurant. I rode my bike and picked it up, and then I rode to the address. When I arrived at the address, it was an apartment building on the edge of the city next to a park. I got off my bike and walked up to the front door. After a couple of minutes went by and nobody came, I texted the man and said I was there. A few seconds later, I got a response. He asked if I could bring it up to his room on the second floor, and he said he would buzz me in. I didn't mind at all, and I said that I would.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind either, but I'd be kind of getting goosebumps at this moment because you would be thinking, oh, the guy would be waiting for you right near the apartment entrance just so you can like hand him the food and get out of there quicker. But nope, he wants you to come all the way up to his floor just to hand him his food, which don't sound troublesome at first, but I guarantee you this guy is going to be acting weird towards this delivery guy. But let's just see.
The man let me in, and I walked up the stairs to the second floor. I knocked on the door. The man opened it and smiled. He seemed very friendly. He said thank you to me and mentioned that he would give me a nice tip. Then I heard a woman's voice say thank you as well, coming from inside the room. I said no problem, and I left. Then I walked back down and outside of the apartment to my bike and continued with my deliveries for the evening. About 2 hours later, I got another delivery near the same area, and my route took me past that same park. But as I rode past the apartment building, I noticed an ambulance and several police cars outside of it. I was going to ignore it and ride past when I caught a glimpse of the man that I had delivered to. He was being led into a cop car. I had to stop my bike quick and ask what happened. I didn't get much information, but I did hear that a man had nearly killed a woman. Later, when I went home, I found out that the very same man I had delivered to was with a woman that night that he met for the first time, and he tried to force himself on the woman, and she resisted.
Holy smokes. Thank God he didn't do any strange things around the driver, a food delivery guy here. But he met a woman for the first time and then he tried to make advantages towards her. And apparently she didn't like that and must have made him snap and almost killed her. At this point, he needs to be going to seek anger management or mental health, both. Because that's just wrong. That he's just out there making his deliveries and he thought those people were nice to each other. And all of a sudden you see that. That's really bad.
That started a struggle between them, and the woman ended up breaking her arm and being knocked unconscious. The man was arrested, and the woman was taken to the hospital. It's crazy to me that I delivered to them, and they both seemed so happy just a few hours before.
A lot of things that could change in those few hours. Sorry that lady broke her arm and lost consciousness during all that struggle. But I'm glad that she's okay and not dead. Because I know that guy would have been in prison for life if that was the case. But I'm just glad that this food delivery driver did not witness any of that. Because he really would have been scarred for life. But yeah, you always got to look around your surroundings and at other people because sometimes they might seem normal and nice. Then you never know. Everything might go haywire in a snap. But that is just so sad to hear that happened that night.
When I was a senior in high school, I worked as a pizza delivery boy. It was a pretty good paying job with tips, and I enjoyed it a lot. One night on a Friday, I was working and got a delivery for one pizza to a house on the other end of town. I made the drive to the house, which took about 10 minutes, and then I arrived. I stepped out of the car and started to walk up to the house. It was a small and average looking house, kind of old, nothing eye-catching. I walked to the front door, but when I got there, I noticed a post-it note stuck to the door that said to use the back. I walked around to the back door of the house, which was located in the center of the house in front of a small fenced backyard with a little patio on it. I was about to knock on the door when I saw another post-it note. It said, "Please bring pizza inside." Now this made me a little bit uncomfortable, but I decided to go in anyways.
I would feel uncomfortable at this point. If the note says bring pizza inside, I'd be just opening up the door and leaving the pizza right there in the hallway leading to that front door and just say, I got your pizza, but I'm not allowed to walk into people's houses all the way, or something like that, and say they'll bring you the money closer to you.
I could hear music playing from inside the house. When I opened the door, I saw what appeared to be a kitchen. It was pretty empty though. There was no food or plates out, but on the kitchen table near the door, there was a Bluetooth speaker that was playing music. I started to place the pizza box on the table, and I saw yet another sticky note posted there. It said, "Bring pizza downstairs, and I will give you your tip." I looked to the end of the kitchen and saw an open doorway with a staircase leading to a very dark basement.
Okay, at this point, I'd be like, oh, come on, I'm not playing these games. I'm leaving your pizza right here on the table. So you better have my tip right now up here because I'm not going down the stairs. I mean, that's what I would say because I got a feeling that this is all just a trap to lure somebody downstairs to the people that order the pizza and do something to them. You never know nowadays.
This is where I had to draw the line in my head. I decided I would have to skip the tip on this one, and I was not going to go down the stairs. I left the pizza on the table and started to walk away to leave. But then, the music on the speaker stopped playing, and a deep man's voice started speaking on it and said, "Stop." Then it said, "Why don't you come downstairs?" I wasn't going to stay there any longer, and I quickly opened the door and left. When I did, I could hear the deep man's voice laughing. I ran back to my car and drove all the way back to the restaurant. A few weeks later, when I was working, I got a delivery, and when I started driving, I noticed it was the address of that creepy house again. I really did not want to go back there, but it was my job, and I didn't want to tell my boss I was scared, so I continued driving. Once I arrived, I took a good look at the house. I could see a note was on the door again. I sat in my car for a good minute, hyping myself up to go back to the house. I finally got out and started walking straight to the back, but when I noticed the front door, the sticky note said something different on it this time. I walked up to the front door and looked closer. The note said, "Come in the front door this time," and then it had a smiling, winking face on it. I just dropped the pizza on the front step and knocked on the door 2 times and then left. I hurried back to my car, got in, and drove back to the restaurant again. Thankfully, I never had to deliver to that house again.
I would have not been scared to tell the boss. He probably would have believed you, or he probably would have told you next time call the cops. Because yeah, that is fishy every time you go. The 2 times that he went, there was notes on the front. But after hearing a guy yelling on the speaker saying, "Stop, come downstairs," and he started laughing, that'd be my cue to leave, like he did, because I want to find out who that person was. He might have some sinister intentions. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more Nighttime Spooks content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man Score channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. I said that's a wrap, and have a nice day, y'all.